Welcome to Whiskey's a Journey. My name is Peter Fasciano, and today we're going to be taking a look at my top 15-year-old single malt scotches in my collection. If you're new here and you're not familiar with what's going on, I have been taking a series of flights of maybe 5 or 6 bourbons or scotches. I've been putting them up against one another, tasting them, ranking them, and then the winner of each of these flights are moving on to the next round, which is going to be my champion of bourbons and scotches, which is coming up around February or March. So let's go ahead and jump into today's flight with my 15-year-old single malt scotches. Just like before, I have each one labeled on the bottom. I have these black Glencairns because I don't want to give anything away with the colors. The bottles that I have, I think this is going to be a beast of sherry or Pedro Jimenez single malt scotches. So glass number 1, and these are in price order. I have the Speyburn 15. This is 46% ABV, natural color, non-chill filtered, and it costs $76.99. This is matured in American and Spanish oak, and I do believe that there is going to be some sherry in here. I'm not sure if it's Pedro Jimenez or if it's Oloroso. Bottle number 2 is the Glenfarclas 15. This is a Highland Scotch. This is a Speyside Scotch. We're looking at 46% ABV, natural color. I think there might be some chill filtration involved here, but there is ex-sherry cask maturation, I believe, in all Glenfarclas. And if I didn't say it, this is $77.98. Unfortunately, I can't really find this here. I had to order this off the Whiskey Exchange. So with the shipping and everything, it's a little bit more than the $77. Bottle number 3. We got Ball Blair 15. This is a Highland single malt, 46% ABV, natural color, non-chill filtered, $109.99. This is matured in American oak, ex-bourbon, and then first fill Spanish oak butts. Bottle number 4. You've seen this one on the channel before. This is the Glenallachie 15, Speyside single malt Scotch, 46% ABV, natural color, non-chill filtered. This is Oloroso and Pedro Jimenez finished. I'm not exactly sure the maturation. I think it might be matured in ex-bourbon. Let me know in the comments down below if you know. And the price on this one was $129 when I purchased the bottle. And then my final one, again, is no stranger to the channel. This is my Tamdhu 15 Speyside single malt Scotch, 46% ABV, natural color, non-chill filtered. We're looking at $139.99, and this is matured exclusively in sherry oak casks. So those are the 5 bottles I have. Let me go ahead and clear this thing out, mix these things up, and get this thing going. All right, I do need to say that I was actually going to throw in a Balvenie single barrel that was also a single malt that I believe is, we're looking at, this is also sherry cask. That's what it's a sherry cask matured as well, but it's a single barrel, and it came in at $158. But right at the very, very last second, I decided to throw in the Glenallachie 15 instead of that one. But I am going to prime my palate with the Balvenie, see how that goes, and then we're off to the races. So this is the Balvenie 15 sherry cask. It's really good, but I don't think it would have been appropriate to throw it into this flight. I have my water, I have my pad of paper. Let's get the lids off of these things and then get to it. Yeah, the Balvenie, definitely. Raisins, heavy on the raisins, big on the malt. I'm just gonna put my water over here because I will be going back to it. All right, here we go. Glass number 1. This is very sweet. Lots of red fruit. Really good amount of malt. Got some chocolate. Smells fantastic. Let's get it on the palate. Yeah, that's loads of malt and a really good amount of raisins. Pretty sugary and a little bit of a chocolate note. That one's good. Glass number 2. Much sweeter on the nose. You get lighter fruits on like peaches. That malt note is definitely coming through as well. I think I've said this before in these other flights. I think it's going to be extremely difficult to pick a winner. They're all very nice. They're all going to be very similar on the nose, and I enjoy all of them as a offering. So I'm going to have a difficult time picking a winner. All right, let's get this on the palate. Oh, That's good as well. The flavor is a little bit more subdued than this one. Kind of taking a back seat, you're relaxing. I like that. It's not as robust and in your face as that. And sometimes that's good. Let's move on to glass number 3. Not a lot on the nose compared to the first two. Butterscotch, malt. Not much to say other than the butterscotch and the malt. Very mellow, very relaxed. This is in your face. This is your kicking back, and this one you're completely laid out. That's a good progression of flavors. All right, let's move on to glass number 4. All right, now we're back into your face with a fruit bomb. Raisins, dates, figs, and plums. Very sweet, very chocolatey, very malty. All right, let's get it on the palate. Yeah, that hits a point where I think it's just going to topple over the amount of cask with the raisin, dates, and figs, but then it hits a wall and doesn't go any further. That's very good as well. All right, let's get on to the 5th glass. I tell you what, this is a roller coaster. I mean, we're starting out high and it goes into a low and then we're going back up again. This and these two are vibrant on the nose. Yeah, deep, rich figs, dates, raisins, and plums. Very sweet, very malty, very chocolatey. Oh man, that's really good as well. This is less on the raisins and more with the dates and figs and plums. It does have a sugary, sweet side to things. Definitely a lot of malt. Definitely a lot of chocolate. All exceptional. These are laid back. These are very robust. Now, what I'm going to end up doing here is running back the other direction. I'm going to keep rinsing between tastes. I'm going to figure out my order and come back and let you know what I think I like the most, what I like the least. I don't think there really is a front runner just yet. I'm going to take some notes and then choose a winner. We'll be right back. I'm just going to speed this part up. All right, I am completely out of water, and I think it's time to make a decision. I can go back and forth between all of these and completely change my mind. I get a lot of Tootsie Roll taste out of this, along with the figs, dates, raisins, and plums. They all started to mix together a little bit. Some of them were a little bit more complex than others. One of them didn't really necessarily have a finish to speak of, so that ended up being in last place. But there are two of them that could have finished 1A and 1B. But because one of them is going to move on to the finals, I can only choose one. So here's what I got. In my 5th place, I have glass number 2. There's a bubblegum note in here that's coming across as too sweet, and I'm really not necessarily digging on that right now. They're all very good. I like them very much. That's why they're in this flight. They're my favorite 15-year-olds that I have in my collection. This seemed to be a little bit soft on the palate as well. It didn't really necessarily develop into anything. It hit your palate, and that was pretty much it. You got all the flavor up front, and then it sat there and then disappeared. Nothing more to speak of after that, which goes to the next one. And that's where I think it I was on the top of the roller coaster here. It hit a lull. Glass number 3. This was well-rounded. It had a good chocolate note to it, but it was also very soft on the palate. But the finish on this was much better, at least on this tasting, than this. So that ended up bumping this one up over this. So that's my 4th place. 3rd place, I ended up putting the 4th glass, and my notes said that it gave me a little bit of a bitter note on the side, that bitter dark chocolate note, which is good. Raisins, dates, figs, and plums, really good amount of maltiness. And then the finish was slightly better than this one. So I ended up putting this one in my 3rd place. And I had a very, very difficult time to figure out between my 1st and 5th glass. I went back and forth thinking this was the 1st place, this was the 2nd place, and then this in the 1st place, that in the 2nd place. I went back and forth, and then my very, very last note that I got out of this one vaulted this into first place. They were both very well rounded. They came across as very robust on the nose. Figs, dates, raisins, plums, all of those sherried notes that you like in a whiskey. This had a little bit more of a chocolate note, which I liked a lot. So I ended up putting this in first and this in second just because of that chocolate note. And this one also ended up being the best on the nose. Now, I'm not going to attempt to guess any of these. It would just be absolutely ridiculous to try to do that. So let's go ahead and see what I have been drinking and see which 15-year-old single malt Scotch is going to move on to the finals. So in fifth place, I ended up having, the Glenallachie 15. This is interesting. The Glenallachie 15 started out drinking extremely hot. And if you've been following this channel, you know that I've said that a couple of times when I had this. And over the past couple of months, it has calmed down quite a bit. And I didn't pick up an ounce of heat coming out of this, but it ended up being in my fifth place. My fourth place, I ended up having the Balblair. So Balblair 15 didn't come across as very powerful or robust. And I think it kind of got hidden behind these three. So in my third place, I ended up putting the Tamdhu. That's surprising. Tamdhu 15, in my mind, that's the one of my top 15 whiskeys. Sometimes I would think that this is borderline over the top with the cask maturation. I think that sherry cask finish might be a little bit too powerful at times. It may have made sense in this flight, and that's why that's in third place. And then second place, I end up having the Speyburn 15. That's very interesting. Knowing what the Speyburn 15 was prior to this flight, I always get a lot of pepper out of the Speyburn 15, and I didn't get anything spicy out of any of these. So that's very, very surprising. But I'm also very happy to see that this actually came in second place, and it was fighting back and forth with the Glenfarclas. So that just dawned on me. This is the Glenfarclas 15. So the Glenfarclas 15 ends up taking the top spot in my top 15-year-old single malt Scotches. That's amazing. One last thing left to do is go ahead and blend these together and see if we get a 15-year-old blend that we like. So the Glenfarclas 15 is going to be moving on to the finals. I currently have 3 Scotches in the books. This is now my 4th Scotch video. I have 2 more to go before I move on to the final. So if you've gotten this far and you like this video and you're not subscribed, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. If you know anything about any of these 5 whiskeys that I've covered today, leave some comments down below. If you've had these in a flight, where would you rank them? And what I'm getting in the glass right now is a tremendous amount of raisins, dates, figs, and plums. This is a sherry matured whiskey on steroids. It smells absolutely fantastic. The malt, the chocolate, there is a little bit of spice, good amounts of red fruits, some berries. All right, let's get this thing on the palate. All right, so there is a good amount of pepper that's coming through there. There is a good amount of spice, a really good amount of sweetness. All of those red fruits are there. The raisins, dates, figs, and plums, that's outstanding. That is really, really good. There's a little bit of bitterness on the side of my tongue. That sweetness is radiating. And then from that, sometimes you get that that dark chocolate bitterness note on the side, but that sweetness is radiating into a milk chocolate. Fantastic mouthfeel. That's surprising. That is very, very good. There's a lot of good Christmas spices in here, or cooking spices, the cinnamon, the nutmeg. Wow, this is really good. I would highly suggest, if you have these, blend them. Maybe don't dump them all into one glass like I did. I realized I did that on my first glass and then I just went with it. I've got about this much whiskey in the glass, but that's fantastic. I'm gonna put a lid on this. I'm gonna save this and sip on this for the next couple of days. I really enjoy this blend. It has everything in it that I like. There's dark chocolate, there's milk chocolate, raisins, dates, figs, plums, a little bit of pepper, Christmas spices, Christmas cake, fruit cake maybe, some dried fruits, red fruits. Yeah, that's all really, really good. That's where I'm going to leave it. The Glenfarclas 15 is moving on to the finals. And until the next time, wherever you're at in your journey, I hope you're enjoying it, and then we'll talk to you later. Bye.